All right, we're counting down the days to the draft, so it's time to hone in on those predictions for who's going to go where. Our draft expert, Ryan Wilson, has updated his latest board. Here's a peek at that top 10. Ikem Ekwonu, projected to go number 1 overall right now to Jacksonville. A lot of familiar names on this list, but who are going to be those sleepers we should watch out for? To answer that question, the one and only, the great Ryan Wilson is here. A lot of buzz about the wide receiver depth in this class. And maybe one of these under-the-radar guys is Calvin Austin, the third out of Memphis. He runs a 4.3 at the Combine. But how high will his stock go? Already in a crowded wide receiver room, I guess, of talent in this draft.
No, that's absolutely right, Mike. So the thing with Calvin Austin is he's only 5'7". He plays like he's 6 feet, maybe even bigger than that. But NFL teams understand that when you're 5'7", you have a smaller catch radius. I love this guy so much. We talked to him at the Combine. He's so incredibly humble, and he felt like he had a lot to prove because he's always been undersold because he's not 6 feet tall. He plays like a big wide receiver. He's incredibly fast off the line of scrimmage. He gets open 1, 2, 3 steps into his route consistently. The issue, of course, is that catch radius. How long are his arms? How quickly can he get to the football when you have 6'2", 6'3" cornerbacks draped all over you? And I know NFL teams are worried about this to the point where he may actually slip into the top of day 3 or round 4 or so. I would think about taking him late in round 2 just because he's so electric. He also offers something in the punt return game. He has 2 career punt return touchdowns at Memphis. And again, you mentioned that 4.3 speed. Once he gets into the open field, that's a wrap.
Yeah, I mean, teams prioritizing speed lately, using guys in different positions, not necessarily keeping them in one spot. Now, there are reports that teams like the Packers have had North Dakota State's Christian Watson in for a visit. Another guy who made it to the Combine. Where's his draft stock standing right now, 2 weeks out?
Yeah, Calvin Austin's 5'7", Christian Watson's 6'4", so he checks that box. He's about 208. That's what he weighed at the Combine. Also ran in the 4.3s. He's a track guy out of Florida. Somehow got out of Florida, made his way to North Dakota, where he starred with Trey Lance back in 2019, and then he had a really good season in 2021 where he set career best in receptions and yards. He is a big target. He is a fast target. You see him running away from FCS talent here. Got to the Senior Bowl, did not look out of sorts at all. He fit right in. He might, if you told us he went to Mississippi State, I would believe you, given the way he played that week. And you saw that during the course of his football season. So now the question becomes, where is he going to end up going? He feels like a second-round pick. We've seen some conversations that perhaps he slips in the first round. I don't think he's there quite yet. He's still raw as a route runner. He's going to get better. But he makes a ton of sense, as you mentioned, in Green Bay, a team that no longer has Devontae Adams.
A deep wide receiver class. All right, when football fans think Cincinnati, they may think, oh, their playoff run in the CFP was maybe a fluke. But they're going to be putting out some NFL talent, aren't they? How does this game of safety Brian Cook, a former corner, translate to the next level?
Yeah, right. When you talk about that defense, you start with Sauce Gardner, the cornerback, who's probably going to be a top 7 pick. But playing behind him is Brian Cook, the safety, transferred from Howard, played cornerback there, and he plays the safety position like a cornerback. You see the pass defense there. He was regularly in the mix on those pass breakups. He will also come down and hit you in the run game, make tackles. You see that in that quick screen there. That's his game, and he did it consistently. And it's funny, in a class deep with cornerbacks and safeties, we're not hearing a lot about Brian Cook. He didn't run at the Combine, didn't run his pro day. He plays like a 4-5 guy to me, and I love him in the second round. He may slip into round 3. Wherever you get him, you're going to get a great football player who can contribute immediately, either in those sub packages, almost certainly on special teams, and then year 2, year 3, he feels like a starter to me.
Yeah, Cincinnati secondary was for real. Edge rushers seem to be popular going into this draft. You had Kentucky's Josh Pascal going to Detroit, I believe. Why is he such a good fit for Dan Campbell and the Lions?
So he's an interesting case because he's only 6'2.5", but he weighs 268 as an edge rusher. And typically when you talk about these edge rushers, they're 6'4", 255. He's not going to beat you with speed necessarily. He's a quick first step. You saw that right there. But he is strong. He is extremely powerful. He moves really well. I mentioned on that first step, there you go again, just shaking the right tackle. The right tackle didn't have a chance there. And you see that consistently. He can also line up anywhere. He can line up at the 5 technique over the tackle, 3 technique here, getting after it. He can line up at the 0 technique. And I think that's what makes him so appealing to any football team, not just the Lions. You can line him up anywhere. That 268, he's pretty stout, and he's only going to get better. It feels like he's just scratching the surface. He's probably a second round, third round pick, worst case, for Josh Pascal.
All right, let's stay there on the defensive line. Last year, Dolphins drafted an edge rusher in the first round. They give Emmanuel Ogbah a big deal in the offseason. but you think possibly they could add some depth. A guy like Alex Wright at a UAB could be moving up some boards?
Absolutely. We talk about Josh Pascal being raw. Alex Wright is just scratching the surface. He is enormous. You can see him here. He looks like a man among boys. The power sticks out right away. There you go, see with the strip sack. He's incredibly strong off the edge. He's quicker than you might think given that size. It's just a matter of being more consistent. You watch that Georgia game, every time he flashes, it looks like he's a member of the Alabama defense. And then sometimes he disappears for stretches, but that's what you expect from a young player. He plays a lot of the time without his hands on the ground, but he can get after it. He uses his hands well to get around the offensive tackle there and get right to the quarterback. And I think you just see that more consistently with better coaching and a sole focus on football once he gets to the NFL.
You know, the Chiefs obviously traded Tariq Hill and get a bunch of draft capital in return. Could they look at corner maybe in round 2 or 3, a guy like Tariq Woolley at a UTSA?
That would be a fantastic get because just like the Cheetah, Tariq Woolley is a burner, and I mean 4.26 fast. You see it right there. He was absolutely smoking it at the combine there in that 40. But that's not. He's just not a one-trick pony. This is he moved from wide receiver to cornerback. And he plays very much the position like a wide receiver. It's almost like he's running the routes out there. Again, extremely raw for the cornerback position, only been doing it 2 years. But you see the upside. You see the fluidity in which he moves, the change of direction ability, and he's 6'4". He can go up and get it. And I think his best football is ahead of him. I like him in the second round. He made him going in round 3, but he feels like he's going to be a really good football player at the next level.
Back on the offensive side of the ball, in the past, you and I both talked about Shoshaun Corbin, running back out of Florida State. There's a lot of buzz around him possibly being one of these running backs that move up. Is that buzz still circling the now former Seminole as we head towards draft day?
It's funny, Mike. I love Shoshaun Corbin. Obviously, B-Mac loves him too because he's a Florida State guy. Not a lot of buzz around him in terms of media circles. I know our guy Emory Hunt is big on Shoshaun Corbin as well. Transfer for Texas A&M, had a really good season last year. Averaged over 6 yards a carry. You see it right there. He is tough and he runs incredibly hard. Ran 4.58, I believe. He plays faster than that. He's going to run through arm tackles all day. He's tough at the second level, and then when he gets into space, he's running by guys. Had a fantastic game against Notre Dame early in the season, ran for 144 yards. I think we're going to see more of that at the next level. He probably lasts till day 3. I would think about taking a late third-round pick on him. We'll see what happens in 2 weeks, but he's one of my favorite players.
Yards per carry average, second best in the ACC. Ryan, thank you as always. If you need more of your football fix as we head towards the draft, check out the Pick 6 podcast. Will Brinson and company have something new for listeners each and every day. On the latest episode, they're breaking down the Derek Carr deal and all those zeros he just added to his contract.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.